During the opening scene, Greta Evans is riding in a traditional British taxi. Secluded woodlands surround the driveway that leads to the house. She wakes up with a start when the taxi driver knocks on the window. She had fallen asleep during the ride. When Greta exits the limousine, she is awestruck by the manner. Since Greta was asleep, the limousine driver had already taken Greta's things inside for her. He tells her to go inside and wait in the parlor before he climbs into the taxi and drives off. The moment Greta is about to enter the house, she realizes she should take her shoes off. Then she sets them by the door and calls out. In the parlor, no one greets her, but she hears a rustling upstairs, so she goes to investigate. While hesitantly climbing the stairs, she calls out again. The staircase is lined with a large painted portrait of the Heelshire family. It is clear that they are a very regal family. Hearing nothing, she looks at the old-fashioned toys in the next room. When she picks one up, she laughs for a few moments before being completely startled by a noise behind her. A man stands at the doorway. It's Malcolm. A weekly grocery boy for Heelshires. He brings fresh produce each week. They introduce themselves, and he asks her to help him put the groceries away. They talk, and he's obviously already smitten with Greta, although she remains polite. As it turns out, Greta is an American who has moved to the UK to work for the Heelshires for the first time. Mrs. Heelshire arrives. The woman does not look kindly upon Greta and takes notice of her sock-clad feet. Leaving her shoes by the front door, Greta runs to fetch her shoes, not wanting to upset Mrs. Heelshire. Her shoes, however, are gone. Mrs. Heelshire shrugs it off, saying Brahms enjoys playing. Mr. Heelshire can be heard talking softly to Brahms before they enter the parlor, telling him to behave. As Greta looks at Mr. Heelshire,
"And this is our son, Brahms."
In the beginning she stared at the doll in disbelief before laughing out loud, thinking it was a joke. However, her amusement fades away as soon as she sees the very serious faces of Mr. and Mrs. Heelshire. But Malcolm intervenes and says that he will return next week. Stepping past Greta, he shakes Brahms' doll hand and tells him that he will see Brahms next week. Mrs. Heelshire smiles dotingly upon the interaction. As Greta takes the doll by the hand, she says in a forced smile that she hopes they will become friends. Introducing Greta to the kitchen, Mrs. Heelshire says they don't throw away leftovers. In some kind of portable refrigerator container, they've made a special spot for it. He takes her outside to show her the traps they have to catch vermin. He doesn't think it's necessary, but Mrs. Heelshire is worried about rats in the walls. All the windows are painted shut as well, as if accidentally, but that's not the case. At the end of the walk, Mr. Heelshire has a very serious moment with Greta and tells her things are not always what they seem from the outside, or something similar. The message is intended to reassure her. Brahms is put to bed by his family. The Heelshires pray as Greta watches from the doorway. Mrs. Heelshire turns to Greta and asks for privacy. She is shut out by Mr. Heelshire. A minute later, she hears the two talking huskily at the door before it abruptly opens. The tremulous smile of Mrs. Heelshire reveals that Brahms has chosen her. Greta talks to Sandy, a close friend or sister, in her room. She describes the extremely creepy situation to her. Sandy acknowledges that it is weird, but encourages Greta to stick with it because she needs this second chance. Sandy then goes on to say that Cole stopped by her house again, asking where Greta was. Greta panics a little, but Sandy tells her that she didn't tell him anything. Someone from Greta's troubled past. Afterwards, they tell Greta that it is imperative that she follows these rules. Greta receives a printed schedule of activities she can do with Brahms throughout the day, as well as a list of the rules. After they leave, Greta puts Brahms on a chair and apologizes before tossing a blanket over him. As there isn't much to do in the house, Greta makes herself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and pours some wine. She settles down in the parlor. The rain starts pouring outside. She walks past the doll a few times as she refills her drink. When she goes upstairs to bed, she glances down the hall where the doll is, but this time, the blanket is not on the doll. Her reaction has left her somewhat unnerved, and being irritated, she puts the doll in the bedroom and locks it. After a nightmare, Greta awakens sweating. There is a muffled wailing noise in Brahms' bedroom, and the doll is just as she left it. As she leans in closer, she notices the doll's cheek is wet, like tear tracks. Greta is freaked out and notices water dripping from the ceiling. She laughs off the incident. The next day, Malcolm and Greta take a walk through the grounds and lead her to Brahms' grave. On his 8th birthday, Brahms died in a fire, according to Malcolm. The doll soon appeared, and Mr. and Mrs. Heelshear have been caring for it since then. Throughout all of this, it appears as if someone is watching them in the house. Greta was invited out of the house tonight by Malcolm to escape its oppressive atmosphere. She is beginning to look forward to going out more. Before stepping into the shower, she sets aside a coral dress along with her necklace in the bathroom. While she was in the shower, something pulled away her dress and necklace. When Greta gets out of the shower, she sees that her things are gone. She rushes into her bedroom to find that all her drawers have been opened and all her clothes are gone. Outside, she hears something and sees that the attic is open and the stairs are down. She picks up the weapon resting on the side and goes up. As soon as she reaches the top of the ladder lurches up and the attic closes. She hears Malcolm's car pulling up and tries to get his attention. However, she is too far up for him to hear. She tries making noises by banging against the walls, but to no avail. She keeps trying until he leaves. As she tried to look around to escape, a figure startles her and she falls, knocking herself unconscious. The next day, she awakens and sees that the ladder is down and the door open. She calls Malcolm over to look over the house. He barely touches the attic stairs before they snap upward and close. That must be how she ended up trapped up there. They play pool together and spend some time together. Malcolm leaves for the night, and she heads to bed. As there is no internet, and barely anything electronic in the manor, she calls Sandy again and asks her to send more magazines. As soon as she hangs up, the phone rings again. Upon picking up the phone, she thinks it is Sandy calling back, but only hears breathing. Unnerved, she hangs up. The next day the phone suddenly rings, and when she answers it, she hears the same breathing. Suddenly, a small, tinny voice calls her name and tells her to play. She cries and screams, asking who this is. She sees porcelain feet walking across the floor from the bottom as she hears Brahms, asking her to come out. She sees something being placed down and after a while goes outside and sees it as a tray with a PB+J sandwich. She picks it up and starts laughing/crying hysterically. She looks across the Brahms open room, where the doll now sits on a bed, facing her. She goes to the door and stares at it, and then looks at the list, now knowing what Brahms wants. Over the next couple of days, she takes care of Brahms like she was instructed in the list. We're cut to the Heelshears on their trip. Mrs. Heelshear is writing a note to Brahms, apologizing for them leaving him. At the bottom of the letter, it says the girl is yours now, and they proceed to drown themselves. One day, Malcolm comes over and asks her out again, and Greta glances over at the doll, thinking she better not. She then starts to tell him that Brahms is here. Malcolm doesn't believe her. Apparently, Greta has been experimenting. She takes some chalk and draws a rough outline around the doll. They head back to her room, and Malcolm still thinks she's crazy. When they head back, the doll is gone and Malcolm is shocked. The doll is found in the study when they go downstairs. As Greta figures out that he is not happy, she puts him back to bed. Unnerved, Malcolm looks around. In conversation with Greta, he reveals something from 20 years ago that he kept secret so as not to scare her. There was a girl who played with Brahms every week. On the day of his death, the girl went missing as they were playing. Afterwards, Brahms died in the ensuing fire. The body of the girl was found in the woods, her skull completely crushed. Malcolm is not entirely certain if the doll is holding a good guy ghost spirit. But Greta knows Brahms won't hurt her. She asks Malcolm to go home for now, remembering the no guest rule. Greta whispers to Brahms as she puts him to bed, "You wouldn't hurt me, would you?" While preparing breakfast the following morning, Greta hears the clacking of billiard balls coming from the study. She takes Brahms and heads over, thinking Malcolm is there. But it's actually Cole, her ex-husband. Greta says he shouldn't be here. Greta clings to Brahms protectively, and Cole realizes it's a doll and laughs. Cole and Malcolm have a mini standoff when Malcolm comes by. Having asked her to check the groceries, Malcolm pulls her away. During the conversation, they discuss Cole, who should not stay here since he will harm her. Greta denies that either of these things will happen and assures him that she will deal with it. Malcolm bids Cole farewell and leaves. Instead of leaving, he parks outside and stands watch. Greta brings him blankets and pillows, which Cole interprets to mean he won't be sleeping in her bed. Cole holds her painfully before she leaves, telling her he won't let her go again. She is expected to leave with him in the morning with her bags packed. Greta tears up and leaves. As Greta puts Brahms to bed, she whispers tearfully that she needs his help before going to bed. During the night, Cole wakes up to see blood dripping on his head. He wakes up and yells for Greta. She returns downstairs to find a bunch of rat carcasses and a bloody message writing on the walls above that reads, "Get out." Cole suspects Greta did it, which she vehemently denies. She spots the doll in the corner and runs to him, saying, "Brahms, what have you done?" Cole grabs the doll out of anger. Greta goes back and now tries to tell Cole that she did it. Cole believes that the doll played a role in it. Malcolm runs inside to find out what's happening when he hears a commotion. He sees Cole waving the doll. Greta is frantic, and they both try grabbing the doll away from Cole. In the end, Cole intentionally smashes the doll to the ground, breaking it into pieces. Immediately, the walls began to shake and the house began to creak. They all start to panic. Cole shushes Malcolm when he wants to leave. As the noise quietens, Cole puts his ear to a mirror on the wall. The mirror breaks and something bursts from the walls. The figure is huge, and his face is covered in a porcelain mask. Malcolm believes it must be Brahms, who never died in the fire, but Greta cannot accept it. Cole is immediately knocked down by Brahms. Despite Malcolm and Greta's attempts to stop him, Brahms stabs Cole in the neck with a shard of the doll and knocks them aside. As Brahms tries to drag Greta away, Malcolm knocks him down, allowing Greta to rise, and they flee. Greta and Malcolm head to the front door and get blocked off by Brahms. They run upstairs to hide in her room, locking the door. Brahms stands at the doorway and Greta finds a panel in the wall, and they both go through a pathway in the walls. Greta finds a fridge and very rough living accommodations in the walls. She also discovers a life-size figure on the bed, which is a fabric doll wearing Greta's missing coral dress, along with her jewelry. We now realize the truth. Brahms never died that day. He has been living in the walls for 20 years, and Mr. and Mrs. Heelshire has been hiding everything in order to keep their son. After finding the letter written by Mrs. Heelshire, Greta realizes that she will forever be responsible for his well-being. Malcolm keeps trying to find another path. Soon, he finds one, and has Greta go through first when Brahms bursts through. Malcolm tells Greta to continue on her way. Even though Greta doesn't want to leave him, Malcolm runs at Brahms to stop him. Brahms overpowers Malcolm and smashes his fist in Malcolm's head, and knocks him out. Brahms can't catch up due to the part where he has to crawl and screams after her to get back her, and that if she doesn't stay he will finish off Malcolm and kill him like he did with everyone else. Greta runs and makes it towards the gates before she stops and turns back. She finds Brahms in the living room and tells him she would never leave. Brahms reaches for her, but Greta stops him still with her nanny voice, telling him it is time to go to bed. The action triggers something in him, and he obeys. As she puts him in bed, he grabs her and forces her to kiss him. She haltingly presses her lips to the porcelain mask and Brahms starts to pull her closer. She takes the letter opener she hid in her pocket and stabs Brahms in the stomach. She is thrown off of him on the wall as he recoils. Greta almost passes out as he strangles her, but she holds on to the letter opener and pushes it deeper. Greta runs past Brahms to the hidden pathways to check on Malcolm. A portion of Brahms' mask has been shattered, showing the burned skin underneath. She gets Malcolm out, and they leave Heelshire Manor. A final shot shows someone painstakingly putting the doll back together. It is likely that Brahms is still alive.